Good afternoon, everybody. Brian with VetteSource checking in on Saturday today. We got a little bit of, again, nice weather here in Southeast Texas. Kind of getting boring. I'm starting to look for the heat, but this I can deal with. It can make it work on the cars a little bit easier. So today I'm going to be focusing back again on one of our Allante projects. If you followed the playlist I put together of the Allantes, I was at one point up to 4 of these things. Now I've made it back down to 3 because I sacrificed one of the other ones to the parts gods. But for those of you that don't know, the Allante was a Cadillac constructed vehicle built from 1987 to 1993, designed and built for Cadillac by none other than Pininfarina, which are the guys that design Ferraris and other Italian sports cars. So the interesting hooks about these cars is they were designed to be a competitor to the Mercedes and BMWs, sport coupes and things like that. And it's a really beautiful, handsome car. They were assembled in Italy and then shipped over here on specially constructed 747s, freighters. The bodies were shipped over here to the United States, and then they finished putting the drivetrain in them. So like I said, they made these from 87 to 93. They were, at the time when they came out in 87, the most expensive car GM had ever offered for sale at just right under $60,000. So as the years went on, they of course became more and more expensive. By the time they were done, they were just under $65,000 equipped. In 93, what they did was they upgraded them with the Northstar engine. Let's see if I can get this hood open here real quick. Find my hood release. And hood struts still work. So these 93s were the only ones that came with the Northstar engine. Now there's legitimate complaints about the Northstars. They're hard to work on. They're a pain in the butt. You know, a lot of other euphemisms that Cadillacs have been associated with. But the interesting thing about it is these are darn near 300 horsepower front-wheel drive cars. So they've got quite a bit of pep. This car here was a special paint code car called 01U, and I think this is Verde Green, I believe is the color code, or the name for it, I don't remember. They made about 150 cars in this color, because they really didn't make that many Allantes as it is. But this car really was not a bad car. It only had about 100,000 miles on it, and I kind of detailed a little bit about what had happened to it in my first video I talked about with the Allantes. This one suffered from a wiring problem, and rather than fix it legitimately, the guys came in and decided they were going to cut and splice everything. You can see some of the temporary splices I've made in here to get the car back to try to get it running again. Even there, those are just temporary. What it's got in these early 90s cars is a vehicle anti-theft system that operates a lot like a resistor. It's basically a resistor pellet in the key that if it doesn't match the right voltage, it steps down the voltage, it won't let the car start. So in their infinite wisdom, when they went to get this car started, they figured they'd just bypass everything, and they cut the harness all up, carved it up like a Christmas turkey, and then left it to sit. So when they couldn't get it to run, so it's been sitting for just about 10 years now. Now what I've done over the last couple years, I've had it languishing in the driveway because I picked it up on the cheap, basically kind of almost as a parts car, but I knew I probably wouldn't part it out if I could get it running again. Was rewired it just temporarily so I could get to the through the VAT system. The hard part was finding the parts for it. Got that all done, and of course to discover legitimately, which is no surprise, the fuel tank was bad. So if you remember my last video, or a couple before, I took the fuel pump out of this red Allante and redid that one, got that one running again. So now it's time to put the fuel tank and pump back in this one. Now the difference between the 93 and the 92 Allante is the 93 Allante has a plastic composite fuel tank, whereas the 92 had a steel gas tank. The fuel pump sending unit assembly is right there on top, pretty easy to get to. It's just got a plastic lock ring on it that's not that bad. And it's unusual, it's got plastic fuel lines. So they actually are quite effective, and you can see this is being 25, 26 years old. They're still in really good shape. So the composites are holding up really well. So you can see how clean this car is. And the funny thing about these Allantes is the fuel door is not where you'd expect it. It's actually lower on the side of the car, right behind the driver's side door, which is kind of an anomaly, but that's a sports car for you. So as you can see underneath here, this is where the fuel tank assembly will go into place. It's basically just got two straps that hold it in. And what I'm going to do here in a few minutes is get set up, get this tank back underneath the car, get the fuel lines hooked up. The fuel lines are rather easy to take apart. They're just quick disconnects. A little bit of fuel there still in the line. So it's really not that bad of a job. It's just if you don't have the lift, you're laying on your back. So in a few minutes, I'm going to get back with you guys and show you how I get the pump, not the pump, but the tank back up in this assembly, in this area here underneath the car, and get our way to get it back so we can get it started. I'll be back in just a second, guys. Alright guys, we are back. We've got our fuel tank positioned underneath the car. Let me show you where we're at here. Now again, these composite tanks, that's just an insulator that goes up there, by the way, noise reduction. These composite fuel tanks make it a little bit easier to maneuver them around, but still when you're working on your back with the fuel tank, it's always a little bit tricky to get these things back in here. Like I showed you before, that is your area, or the area we're going to be putting that thing into. And over here is a little pocket where this goes back in and comes out through the fuel side. You can see my fingers through there. So the trick is kind of getting that in there and getting the tank up past the heat shield and all the other good stuff. So composite tank is a little bit lighter, but the truth is it's still going to require you to kind of muscle it into place. Now, what I always recommend, first things first, don't leave fuel in the tank. An empty tank is a lot easier to pick up when you're laying on your back than a full tank. At 40 pounds for every 5 gallons of gas, you've got 160 pounds you're trying to lift for a full tank. So what I do is just stick my floor jack underneath there, get it in position as much as I can. I've got the fuel filler neck kind of in there. Gonna need to come down a little bit, and I'll watch that as I'm coming up with it. And then of course these just require these two straps that go in here. So this is from the back angle to show you what we're working with. So let me kind of get this kind of situated up in there a little bit, and I'll show you guys my end result here in just a few minutes. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back with one strap in place on our fuel tank. As you can see, I was able to get that up inside of there. Of course the jack is there, but we were able to get the two bolts back in on our strap to hold it in place. So we've got the driver's side being held in place and in position. Of course our fuel lines run right here along that rail. That's where I was showing you before. The plastic fuel lines are actually kind of easy to take in and out once they're off of there. And I put my clamp for my fuel, or I've got an actual clamp that fits over that to keep that in place so it doesn't move. I got that somewhere. I need to look for it. Let me turn the light on in here so you guys can see how all this kind of tightly fits inside of here. So as you can tell, there's not much room to work with, but you got a rewarding little finish thing when you get that done. So let me button up this other side and show you guys what our finished product is going to look like. I'll show you from the outside here how the fuel filler neck goes in, and it'll attach in here. So we got that room to work with there. You can see right there. So let me get the rest of our goodies here put together, and I'll be back in a second. Alright guys, we are just about finished up here. We've got our fuel tank installed with our two retaining straps. Of course, this is what you're going to see once it's installed. Two straps in place, lines in there. So I'm going to do a final function check and get back to you guys in a minute and show you how we can at least test to make sure we got fuel coming to the front. So I'll be right back. Alright guys, I am back. I have a working fuel tank now in this car. So we got it all buttoned up and in place. Give you a little bit of a view from underneath again, just so you can see. There's your composite tank. And of course, I'm sure with the weight savings, and then if you hit something with that, it's probably not going to blow up quite as easily too. That might have been some of the things they were thinking. But we've got all that done. So I'll show you here too. We'll get in here. Don't mind my extra steering column. This is what we've done to kind of get around some of this wiring damage. But we've got our fuel pressure right there to show us we've got good fuel pressure, but alas, we're still not cranking yet. We're still not firing yet. So we got a few more things to work out. We've either got a bad powertrain control module or a body control module in this thing, and I'm going to get a little more in the weeds on the electrical stuff on this thing next time I do a video on this car, which should be in the next few weeks. Well, don't hold me to it, but I will get to one as soon as I can. So I'm going to wrap this up for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and watching the video. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe if you want to keep seeing me do some more videos. Turn your notifications on. I usually try to upload once or twice, maybe 3 times a month, you know, whenever I've got time to detail what I'm doing with these cars. And we will check back with you next time. Actually, I'll probably be doing some more work on the not the Suburban but the truck next time, so I'll look forward to seeing you guys in. Thanks again.